this is not the inborn reflex that causes, some call it vertigo. That's not exactly the right term. Acrophobia is, it's an inculcated analog of acrophobia, where you choke when you start thinking that you're risking social ridicule, or that something that you're doing is going to get you exposed for doing that. And someone's going to come down on you, chide you for, why are you trying to make yourself into a goddamn nerd? It's bad enough you even think about it. You're actually trying to do that to yourself? You're going to get ostracized, and you deserve it. Because people who do that get ostracized, which makes them deserving of it. Circular, non-reasoning, inculcation only. It's an invented stigma. And, like, there's certain kinds of... It depends on where you're learning stuff, too. It's like, man, there was this math I had to learn in college. Now, if I would have been learning it in a different setting, I think the results would have been different. But the idea was that this was just a torture that was thrown at us. And my reaction to that was to rebuff it and just expose that students were being tortured. There was no use for this garbage. It's a punishment. No. In that context, this behavior is proper. But then, at some time when I was taking it the second damn time, it's really only when obviously I flunked it. Well, I'm not going to say it was obvious. There were other extenuating factors there. Is that I just discovered, motherfuck, don't swear. This was a motherfuck moment. You can do fucking impossible fucking problems with this math. These problems should, by right, have no fucking solution. But this math is fucking magic. Now, if the students would have been shown this to begin with, they might have had a little bit more respect for those who are making them take this course and not push back. And I mastered the algorithms. I mastered the doing of this math. And where things went wrong was that this was a time when I had neurological difficulty. And doing the just computations, the stupid stuff that you learned in third grade, I couldn't do as well as a third grader. And that's why I flunked again. But I knew how it worked. This is another propensity or characteristic of a near-gifted person, is they might not be able to do it as fast as the gifted person, but they see what the gifted person is doing and they know how it works. The non-gifted person never looks into it. I mean, not even near-gifted. They are not in the corona or the penumbra. They are not exposed to the atmosphere of this behavior, this activity, or this ability. And since they don't see it, they don't grasp it. It's on a different plane. Now, if you talk to me about something that I had no exposure to, no awareness of, I would probably be making similar errors concerning the nature of it, the mechanics of it, its equilibrium versus things that are not what it is. I'm not saying that I am immune to that. But one thing that I'm not completely divorced from or cut off from or shielded from is the nature of a brilliant person's thoughts, or the way logic can be expanded. When you're talking about people who have never been exposed to that, when you give them logic instead of trying to expand it to accommodate larger range of prospects or to get out of dead ends where other people will say, well, this is as good as ordinary logic can get you, so this problem is obviously just above the range of our address. No! Expand your logic, maybe even just one radius, and you'll start to see that there's ways to get through that maze. You don't have to throw up your hands. You don't have to throw out the problem. You can work on it some more. How hard can it still get before it starts to burn out your nerve fibers? Well, if you haven't even looked at that yet, then you're doing yourself a major disservice, and community too. You know, as a person who isn't quite in the gifted category, I know I'm going out on a limb trying to speak for somebody else, but the reason that I am is that I'm the bridge person between that community and the one that has no source of insight for it at all, no source of empathy for it at all. And by being more exposed to that community than the gifted people who have their own set to retreat into whenever the other community would become too disaffecting for them, I think I have more insight into the notions on gifted people that the completely non-gifted do have. I'm Gulliver, the gifted are Brobdingnag, and the average people are Lilliput. That's the analogy I've often made concerning this. Now, my justification as someone who is not as smart as a gifted person for trying to speak for the so-called true gifted people comes to be the fact that a crisis stems, I see a crisis defined by the fact that there is such a complete disconnect to the point that the gifted people have resigned into passing. Now, we all know what transgender people think of trying to mask as natal cis now. Even if you don't pass, you want to wear something that shows that you at least identify as what you don't pass as. And what the gifted people want to do, they want to go back to the 1950s and put dresses on FTMs and put suits and ties on MTFs. That's the analogy. It is just completely passed as dumb. It's average, which compared to a gifted person is dumb. Now, compared to a gifted person, I'm dumb. But I'm not dumb, to give you my sense with that. They aren't speaking out for themselves. It takes somebody who's on the fringe, who's on the edge, to see the disconnect, to see the dichotomy, to see the dissonance there. So that's how I justify my presence or my attempting to do this. I would have preferred to have been able to have had even more, as it were, contact with any actual gifted community if it would have been available to me. One of the things that I'd always thought about from the first time, probably when I was 12, I'm guessing, maybe later a little bit, that I finally heard about that group called Mensa. And was thinking, I don't think I could get in at Mensa. But damn, if I didn't want to be in there, and just maybe they would have an open house once a year or something, that they would invite a small cater of tourists to come in just to experience the Mensa difference. Especially with people who just miss being able to get in there. That it's, what are those people have that I don't quite have, but almost have? That I would have thought that exposure would have been incredibly educational to the people who just fall that much short of being able to get into the organization. And they probably also would be able to appreciate the reason that they don't quite yet belong there either. Now, if you wanted to have the open house for somebody who was further down the scale of versus being able to qualify, that, huh, huh, wait a minute. Duh, I don't get it, would probably be a closer capture to what that experience would be, and it wouldn't be quite as appropriate for them, nor as educational, if education at all, nor useful. Now, I'm going to pause that thread. Whoa, I'm getting close to a full video again. I'm going to stop this one again. Sorry.